From the boxing ring to your podcast station, here are the three guys that talk nothing but boxing. Ricky, Enrique, and Juan.
Welcome back, Boxing Talk fans, to another episode of Boxing Talk. We are in episode 67. Joining me today for today's episode is Juan.
So what's up?
And no Ricky today, guys. Ricky's feeling a little under the weather, so he won't be able to make it. Hopefully, he'll be better by next episode. He should be able to join us. So, hoping Ricky gets better. But, guys, we had three title fights that we had the privilege to watch this weekend. Kind of rare that you get that many title fights on a weekend. And honestly, we've been kind of spoiled in boxing lately. I mean, since we started, Juan, almost every weekend we have a fight. There's been very few weekends that we don't have a fight. Not only do we have fights, Juan, but we have big name fighters fighting almost every weekend, which we've been blessed for that. Not only because we get to watch boxing, which we like to watch. I know, Juan, you were at a concert this weekend and you were still watching the fights, even
Yeah,
though you were at the concert. Um, but big name fighters, guys. So we've been spoiled. For those that have been saying boxing's a dying thing, no, it's not. I mean, this is an exciting time to be around the boxing world with all these unification title fights, with all the undisputed champions that are coming out of the woodworks now. It's a fun time, and I know a lot of boxing fans can agree, and it seems like it's getting on the up and up. But let's go into our fights, Juan. Let's discuss our first one that we had during Saturday. That was the morning fight. At least for us, it was in the morning. Card started around 11 a.m. Because they fought in the UK, and that fight was between Kenichi Ogawa, the Japanese fighter, versus Joe Cordina, the man from the UK. They did fight out there in the UK. You want to give just a quick recap of what happened, Juan? Just a quick summary, and then we'll go
yeah, like we,
deeper into what we want next.
like we mentioned, Kike. Once they take a fight to someone's own country, it's because they're setting it up for him to win, and that's exactly what happened. Cordina wins via second round KO to become the new IBF Super Featherweight champion and improves his record to a 15-0 with 9 KOs. Um, Kenichi Ogawa. What can you say? It was inevitable. Everything that was supposed to happen happened, and um,
Yeah.
his fight, he was just there to basically lose and get some money. Um, and so,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on his performance, and what do you think? What do you think should be next for Cordina?
I know you and I were going Cordina. Ricky was going Ogawa, and can't blame Ricky for going for Ogawa. Ogawa was coming into this fight as the champion, big puncher. Um, so there was that. There was that behind everyone's head. Like, Cordina is a good boxer, but if he gets clipped, um, what's going to happen? And it turned out to be the other way, Juan. It turned out to be Cordina knocking out Ogawa, and it was a clean. I don't know if you got to see the highlight, Juan, but it was a
Yeah,
clean, straight right to the chin. Just a beautiful punch. To me, it's going to be a knockout of the year candidate type knockout. And what a way to become a champion, the old school way, by knocking out the champion. But Cordina, he joins now the other 130-pound champions in Shakur Stevenson, who's the unified 130-pound champion because he holds two of the straps. And then you got the not so known champion, but Roger Gutierrez. So with Cordina, man, I mean, he's got kind of limited opposition at 130. Would you want to see him fight a top 130 name like an Oshaki Foster who's out there? He's got Shavkat Rakimov, who's known to have fought Jojo Diaz. He fought kind of a no-namer his most recent time out in Russia. But Shavkat gave Jojo Diaz a good fight, and they ended up having a draw. So whenever you have a draw or you can beat Jojo Diaz, you know you're a pretty good fighter. Or he's got Oscar Valdez. Let's not forget Oscar Valdez. Yeah, he lost his strap, but he lost his strap to a once in a generation type talent in Shakur Stevenson. So Valdez, I don't think is done. So you can either risk defending his title against those three, or like me, Juan, he can just go and try to unify, and either go for Roger Gutierrez or go for Shakur Stevenson. Uh, Even Stevenson said it himself. I don't know if you saw his tweet. He said, "I told you guys. I told you he's the best 130 pounder in England, in the UK. He's the best 130 in the UK. He's all, I wouldn't mind going to the UK to fight him." So it looks like Shakur's willing to go to Cordina's backyard. I I think he's doing that because he just wants to be able to say he fought in the United Kingdom. But I think Shakur would handle him pretty easily too. What do you think, Juan?
Yeah,
Who would you like to see him with?
I I think so too. I think Shakur is the best of the division. I don't think anyone defeats him as of right now, even though he's still an
Yeah.
up and coming, fighter. What we consider a prospect. He's a champion at such a young age, and man, this guy is gonna do really good in the future. But I would say for Cordina, he has to.
He's already
Why not
done.
take?
He's already done great now, Juan. Honestly, and
Yeah,
people out there can knock on me. I think he's a top 10 pound for pound fighter already. And the kid is a two weight division champion. And now in his current division, he's a unified champion. And he could wipe out this division, like you said. I think out of Gutierrez, he knocks out Gutierrez easily. Um, but Cordina versus Stevenson is the next best fight to make. I mean, because Stevenson already took care of that, who I thought was the next best after Stevenson, which was Valdez, but he handled Valdez pretty easily. So the next best 130 pounder for him um, is Cordina. Cordina needs to challenge himself, or if he wants to go the quote unquote easier route, because it's never easy to beat a champion unless you're a legit once in a generation type fighter. Um, but Cordina can go and take a strap from Gutierrez. They unify those belts, and then maybe later on Stevenson versus Cordina for both of them fighting for all four belts. And as we've seen Juan lately, it seems like this day and age and this generation is willing to fight for undisputed more often. They're willing to unify titles, which that's what we've been wanting to see. That's what boxing has been missing. I mean, prior to this year, we had what, maybe 5 or 6 undisputed champions in the history of boxing, and we already have Canelo, who's undisputed, Josh Taylor, who was undisputed, but he had to vacate a belt. You have one guy that we're going to discuss later who became undisputed. And then who else is undisputed? Jermel Charlo's undisputed. Terrence Crawford has been undisputed. Alexander Usyk has been undisputed. So it's like boxing is in a good state. But yeah, man, Cordina, good job, good victory. Nobody, a lot of people thought he was gonna win, but they didn't think he was gonna win like that. So, props to him. Excited to see what's coming for him in the future. Of course, we want to see him with the champs. But moving on to the next fights that happened, Juan, we had Stephen Fulton versus Daniel Roman. Fulton putting his WBC and WBO belts on the line for the super bantamweight division, that being 122 pounds. And guys, very quickly, I mean, this was an easy fight for Fulton. Talent, because Daniel Roman has been a unified champion in that division too. Um, and he made it look easy. He made it look easy, and the judges, as it showed, 2 judges scored it 12 rounds to 0, and 1 judge scored it 11-1. That pretty much should tell you the story. That it was very one-sided. The champion he's in his time right now, Juan. I mean, the guy's in his prime. Do you think anybody at 122 can beat Stephen Fulton right now?
man. I really do like the Luis Neri fight versus Stephen Fulton.
Oh yeah,
I've always liked how Neri has performed, and yeah, maybe he hasn't been doing as well as lately, but I still think that's a good fight, man, for him.
yeah.
But I also would like him to go and try to get the other straps. Like you mentioned, we always like the championship fights, and why not prove yourself to be the best of division by going against the other guy that has the 2 other straps and take it away from him and
Yeah,
show the world that you're the best in the bantamweight division. So I think
yeah,
that's
because
what I would like.
yeah, exactly. So, I mean, Fulton improves his record, guys, to 21-0, 8 KOs. Just by his record, he's not much of a knockout artist, but he will box you to death. He will outbox you. Um, he's got some great combinations, some great defensive work. We'll see. I mean, there's not too many options at 122, honestly, Juan. I mean, like you mentioned, Luis Netti's there for him, but Luis Netti coming off of a loss from Figueroa and then coming off where he scraped a win off Carlos Castro, who, by the way, Castro is being rumored to fight Brandon Figueroa. So uh, Figueroa handled Netti, obviously by knockout, and then Netti uh, handled Castro barely. So I don't know. It's kind of a measuring stick to see how Figueroa, kind of coming back from a loss to Fulton, how he does against Castro, a guy that looked very good against Nettie. So we'll see. And maybe you never know, that might require a rematch against Stephen Fulton. Because when we saw Figueroa versus Fulton, that was a very close fight, guys. Or like Juan said, the only other option, if I mean, because the only two top contenders at 122 for me are Luis Netti and Brandon Figueroa. Other than that, like Juan said, go for the champions, which that's what I would want. The other champion would be whoever comes out to be the winner of Muradjan Akhmadelia versus Ronnie Rios, which that's coming up in what, like 2 3 weeks. Coming up at the end of the month. I think it's June 25th they're fighting. So we'll see what's next for Fulton. I know he has aspirations to become undisputed. So maybe that's what's next, guys. Maybe that's what's next. And we'll see. So we hope for that. But Juan, let us know about the what we all were looking forward to, the fight that most people were excited for, on paper being a 50-50 fight, and then the actual fight itself ended up being totally different. Let us know that fight, and that
Yeah,
fight being George Kambosos Jr. versus Devin Haney.
yeah, like you said, and man, on paper it was a 50-50 fight, and once the fight started to happen and take place and just make its way to the end, it was a totally different thing that we predicted. Haney actually wins via unanimous decision and becomes the new IBF, WBA, WBC, and WBO undisputed lightweight champion, and improves his record to 28-0 with 15 KOs. The judges had it. Well, two of them had it for Haney 8-4, and the other one had it 10-2 for Haney. I more so agree with the 10-2 because I don't see
Yeah,
Cambosis winning no
eight
more
to
than two
four was
rounds.
just. I think 8-4 was just being courteous to Kambosos, because yeah, dude, there was no way he won a third of that fight. There's no way.
Yeah,
I mean, Haney outboxed the crap out of Kambosos. Just that jab, he was jabbing him to death that night, throwing some right hands, and it seemed like every time Kambosos threw, he would miss. Man, he caught Haney a couple times, but not too many
yeah,
times. Man, this fight, honestly, Juan, based off of the hype, reminded me of Stevenson versus Valdez. People were swearing Valdez was gonna hurt Stevenson. He was gonna hurt Stevenson, and Stevenson made it look easy. People on paper, this fight thought Cambosis is gonna drop Haney. He's gonna make it look easy. He's too strong for Haney, and Haney just made it look easy. That's why it goes to show you guys that the whole hit and don't get hit concept, whether we like that fight style or not, it works. It works. It works for Floyd Mayweather. It's been working for Haney. It's been working for Shakur Stevenson. It was working for Canelo. Um, that's the whole concept of the game. You got to hit the guy and not get hit. Hit the guy as much times as you can and not get hit. But Haney, congratulations. I think he becomes the first ever undisputed lightweight champion in the four belt era. But what's next now, Juan? I mean, the guy improves his record, like we said, 28-0, 15 KOs. But that lightweight division is stacked. Obviously, we know the rematch is in the contract against Cambosis. I personally don't think Cambosis deserves the rematch, but we know it's coming. But if there was no rematch, who would you want to see Haney fight? By the way, guys, I totally disagree with this. But the first of all, I disagree with the rematch happening. Second of all, it's gonna happen in Australia again. That's such total bullshit. Haney went to your
uh,
backyard to take your straps. I think Cambosa should have to come here to take the straps if he wants them, but that was part of the contract.
Yeah, well, they put that in there because he knew he was gonna lose, dude. It's like, why else would you set
Yeah,
up a rematch clause at your own place? I've rarely ever
and
hear of that
not only
already.
that, Juan, not only that, Juan, but remember that if Cambosos would have won, there wasn't going to be a rematch.
Yeah,
That was the bullshit part too. It's like that goes to show no confidence. But anyways, man, we know the rematch against Cambosos is coming. Unfortunately, it's like Cambosos, take your loss and move on. Uh, if it was a close fight, yeah, it justifies a rematch. But this fight was not close, dude. Um,
yeah.
and then all the
You know,
antics Cambosos was playing, dude. Not making weight and then fucking saying, "Oh, what if it was on purpose? The art of war. What if I missed weight on purpose to mess with him?" It's like there was so many antics going on, and then uh, Devin Haney's dad got to travel out there to Australia on like a literally last minute visa, so that was cool for Haney. I'm sure that inspired him as well. Uh, I'm pretty sure Haney and his team, I mean, with everything that they went through, having to go to enemy territory and going through all this, and then coming back with all the straps, he said what he was gonna do, man. And in the post fight interview, Juan, they were like, "You can call me email champ, franchise champ. You can call me all of that now because there's no dispute now. I'm undisputed. I got all the belts, and I'm email champ and franchise champ. So I'm undisputed of all of them." So I'm like, that's pretty cool, man.
I mean, if there was no rematch, I think Haney deserves to let Lomachenko get that fight, dude, that he deserves. He earned all
Yeah,
those belts, and that would be a hell of a fucking fight.
yeah.
So that's the next fight I
And
would
I
want to
agree,
see.
dude, because the lightweight division, as we know, is stacked, dude. It's geez, Haney could literally fight anybody, and it's a good fight. Haney could literally fight, like for example, the winner of Richard Comey versus Pedraza. Both, you know, that fights that we've discussed in the past, which we're actually going to discuss later in the show. We finally got a date for that one. He could fight the winner of that fight. He could fight the winner of Ryan Garcia versus Javier Fortuna. A lot of people have been wanting Garcia and Haney to get it on. Uh, he could fight Jeremiah Nakatila. That might not bring so many eyes on the fight, but Nakatila nonetheless is a top lightweight. He's got Gustavo Limos, who took out a former champ in Lee Selby recently. But again, Gustavo Limos not too big of a name, but he is a top lightweight. Uh, I mean, should he even rematch Jojo Diaz? That's kind of a no. But he handled Jojo Diaz. I think Jojo Diaz did better against Haney than fucking Cambosos did. So if Cambosos deserves a rematch, shit, Jojo Diaz deserves a rematch too. Then, or he's got Pitbull. He's got Pitbull Cruz, or the winner of Teofimo Lopez versus Pedro Campa. He got Tank Davis or Lomachenko. But of all those names, I agree, Juan. Vasily Lomachenko, to me, out of all of them, is the best. And if you can't get Lomachenko next, Tank Davis is the next best one to me after that. And if you can't get Tank, Ryan Garcia. But dude, I
I
don't think
think
honestly they're gonna make Garcia versus Haney anytime soon. I think they're trying to build that up to be a De La Hoya versus Mayweather 2.0 right there.
I
Um,
think they
we'll
need to
see.
do a Tank versus Ryan Garcia eliminator for the titles. You can't. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Oh, for sure. I would say David Haney versus Lomachenko, and Tank versus Ryan Garcia, and the ones that come out the winners of that duke it out for all the straps. Obviously, right now Haney the king, undisputed, so he's number one. He calls the shots, although not really because he has to rematch Cambosa. So uh, Cambosa's already saying in November. So I mean, November's 5 months away. Looks like he needs 5 months to recover from that beating. So we'll see, man. Good fight, good fight. I'm happy for Haney. I mean, we all here at Boxing Talk, we're going for our fellow American in Haney, and great fight. Way to bring the all the straps back home. I know our boy James Gorman was going for his fellow countrymen in Cambosis. but I know he appreciates the boxing skills that Haney showed. So uh, Mr. Gorman pretty good when it comes to you know not being biased towards any one fighter or the other. So uh, that was our three fights, guys. Exciting fights, all three title fights. We had an undisputed champion at the lightweight division, Fulton defending his titles, and then we had and the new in Cordina. So exciting times for boxing. We'll see what comes in the future. Let's get into our news, Juan. Get us started with what's going on in the light heavyweight division.
Yeah, so Eddie Hearn says that Callum Smith has been ordered by the WBC to face 2016 Olympic bronze medalist Matthew Bardelique, right?
Butterleak. Yeah, Butterleak.
Bardelique.
Yep.
In a 175-pound title eliminator to determine the mandatory challenger to the light heavyweight champion Arthur Beterbiev. That's exciting, dude. You know, you got the Olympian versus
Yeah.
Callum Smith. Callum Smith, the guy that's just moving up, um, really new into this new division, and Callum Smith is
Yeah.
no joke, man. That would be a great fight if he does win the bronze medalist and fight Arthur Beterbiev, dude.
Well, you never know, man. Joe Smith Jr. could pull off the upset. So as of right now, this if this fight happens between Smith and Butterleak, I would assume, Juan, that it happens on the uh, Joshua Usyk 2 undercard.
Yeah.
It seems like Smith has been fighting on his undercards lately. If this fight happens, great, because, like you said, he becomes a mandatory to whoever at that time is holding the WBC belt. Which by the time Callum Smith fights, if he does fight in that Parker Usyk 2 undercard, then we would by that point already know who the winner of Beterbiev and Smith Jr. is. A lot of us are thinking Beterbiev, but you never know. Uh, like Ricky says, boxing's anything can happen in boxing, man. So uh, whoever comes out the winner, that's who will be the mandatory to Callum Smith, or Callum Smith will be the mandatory to them. So hopefully,
Yeah.
we just want to see Smith fight, dude. This would barely be his second fight at 175, um, and he needs to keep proving why he's a top guy. So we're excited just to hear that he's being mentioned, because we were kind of not even hearing about him, and he's almost coming up on a year that he hasn't fought. I think next month will already be a year that he hasn't fought. So we're hoping to see him. But on to next news, guys. Another ordered fight. So that was an ordered fight between Callum Smith and Matthew Bauderleek. The WBO now has ordered, and I'm kind of excited about this. This is a good fight, but the WBO has ordered Jermel Charlo versus Tim Sue next. What are your thoughts, Juan? Does this fight actually happen? And if it does happen, what do you think happens?
I think this fight does happen. Tim Sue is, man. He's no joke. I think he's the next big thing as well. And I
Yeah,
think he gives Charlo a great fight, and I think he gives him trouble. Hopefully, it happens here in the states. And man, this would be hard. And I'm taking Tim Sue on this one. I think Tim Sue overcomes Charlo. Just the way I've seen Sue as of
shit.
recent, this guy is a dog, man. But I don't know. Anything can happen,
Yeah,
like
we'll
Ricky
see, man.
says.
Yeah,
So we'll see.
yeah. We'll we'll see, man. I like this fight. Uh, Charlo has a target on his back now, man. He's undisputed at 154, so all these contenders are coming after him. Tim Sue's the one that's been barking up his tree the most. Uh, Great fight. Let's hope it does happen. I think it happens next, because they're both PBC fighters. Tim Sue just fought his most recent fight under the PBC banner, and actually, I don't even think the PBC banner. I still think he has his own promotion, but he fought for the first time under Showtime. So because they're both under the Showtime network, I think that was kind of they're getting him on the boat so that he could potentially fight Charlo. Um, let's hope that does happen next. Let's see if it happens later this year or early next year. I hope it's later this year. Uh, as of right now, I don't know. Uh, I think Charlo takes it as of right now, but we'll see. Because remember, Juan, we got to see how Sue comes off of his surgery from his hands. His hands were hurting him before, so he's supposed to be coming back strong and healthy. But you never know from injuries how one can come out of that. But going on to more 154-pound news, Swan. Let us know about the return of this popular fighter actually, and he's going to be making his debut at one in 154 division.
Man, I don't even know if Garcia would perform this well, but Danny Garcia and Jose Benavides Jr. Have agreed to a deal for a July 30th fight at the Barclay Center in Brooklyn. This will be Garcia's debut at super welterweight 154 after capturing his titles at lightweight at 140 pounds and welterweight 147. And like I was mentioning, I think Garcia's just been out for too long, man. That ring rust, unless he proves us wrong, like all the other guys have been coming back and have actually been showing up, then okay. But he's going against Benavides, man, and Benavides has been on a good roll right now. He's been doing good. He has good momentum right now, and Ana Garcia is is in shaky waters right now.
And yeah, and guys, Benavides, we did say that right. Not David Benavides. This is Jose
Yeah, yeah.
Benavides. That is Benavides' older brother. He's most known for fighting Terrence Crawford. That was an exciting like lead up to the fight. I don't know if you remember that one, Juan, but Terrence Crawford actually swung at Benavides during the I think the stare down, and Benavides like ducked him and everything. And I actually thought Benavides had a shot at beating Terrence Crawford in that time period in time, but Crawford came out with the knockout victory. That's been Benavides' only loss, and Benavides actually making a comeback himself. I mean, he did fight recently, but this most recent fight he fought, that was his first fight in also over a year, 2 years.
Hmm.
Uh, so Danny Garcia coming into a new weight division, and he's fighting a guy that's not. He's not a cab driver, but he's not quite a contender either. So I think it's a good fight. Like you said, though, Garcia coming back from a 19-month layoff by the time he gets in that ring, because he last fought Errol Spence Jr. in December of 2020, guys. So yeah, do the math there. That's 19 months, almost 20 months layoff. So we'll see how the new weight does for him. We'll see how the ring rust does for him. I've always said it, Juan. I don't like Danny Garcia at 154. I personally think he's too small for the division. He wants to try to be champion though. He's 5'7", dude. 5'7", 154. These 154 panders like Charlo, like Sue, like Fundura. Imagine Fundura versus Garcia. No mames, dude. That's not. Or imagine even Charlo. Charlo's like 6 foot, 6'1", and
Yeah.
Danny Garcia's only 5'7". He's too small
He's
for that weight
he's
division,
my
man.
height, bro.
But shit. But compared, you know what I mean? Compared to these other 154
Yeah.
pounders, he's just small. Um, but we'll see. I think he's still. I don't know, but then again, Benavides is a big 154 pounder too. Benavides, I think, is like 6 foot. We'll see, man. When the time comes, you guys know we like to do our predictions. As of right now, I don't know. I want to say Danny Garcia because we like him, but we don't know. He's got that ring rust. He is getting older. Uh, Benavides has a shot too. I mean, obviously Garcia is the A side on this right now, but we'll see. But the most exciting news, let's hope this is coming true, guys. This is at the 147-pound division. And if you haven't heard it already, you're hearing it now at Boxing Talk here. That's Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford are closing in on a deal for an undisputed welterweight championship fight in October in Las Vegas. The boxers are still in negotiations, and there's no signed agreement yet for the fight, guys. So yeah, we're telling you October. We're telling you in Vegas. Nothing official though, guys. You know how this boxing world works. Things don't always come to fruition. But if this is true, Juan, you finally got your fucking wish. We all in the boxing world got our wish. What are your thoughts? Is this true or not true? What do you think? Because
See, I think it's.
Floyd Mayweather, I think texted somebody, I think FightHype.com, saying that this is not true. But how the fuck would Mayweather know? Then again, I don't know. We'll see. What do you think, Juan? What are your thoughts? Is this real or not real?
I mean, I hope it's true. A lot of credible sources have been putting out there that it's true. Mayweather would not know, man. He has no tight any tight connection with any of these guys. These guys do what they want. They're the champions. But I also would say that if they're gonna negotiate something that it's fair, I would say winner takes 20% of a purse and go half and half from there. So from that 80% left, go 40-40, and then the winner takes the other 20 if they want to make it fair, because they're always debating on who's the A side, who's the B side. Don't make
Yeah,
anyone the A side. Just make it 50-50. So put 40 and 40. That's 80, and the last 20 takes the whoever takes the win gets the last 20. That would be fair.
exactly. That's what you call right there prize fighting. I mean, because you could Errol Spence could fight that. Uh, he deserves more because he holds three of the belts. But at the end of the day, we don't know who's number one. This is why this is for undisputed. For years, people have been asking for this fight, just like for years, people were asking for that first Canelo Triple G fight. Um, they're both guaranteeing that it will happen this year, though. And when we first started 2022, Juan, that was one of our boxing wish lists. Is that Crawford versus Spence happen? And we predicted so far that it would happen this year. Let's see if it does happen. Let's hope this is true. Las Vegas being a neutral site for both of them, because Spence tends to fight in Vegas. Sorry, he tends to fight in Texas a lot, and Crawford tends to fight like in Ohio, Nebraska, and all that. So Las Vegas would be a neutral site for them. We'll see, man. Let's hope. That would be an exciting fight to go to in October, Juan. That'd be cool, man. We got to plan for it if it does happen. Again,
Even with
guys,
those
this is
nosebleed
just a
tickets.
rumor, nothing confirmed. Exactly. We'll be in the rafters, dude. We don't even need the nosebleeds. But
Sniffing those birds' ass.
yeah, Juan. Exactly. But Juan, give us an update on Teofimo Lopez and his super lightweight debut. We did mention it last episode, but we didn't. It was just rumor. It's still kind of rumor, but it seems like we have a date now. Let us know what that fight
Yeah.
is.
So this is one of the updates we have. So like you mentioned, it is Teofimo Lopez, the former lightweight champion. He will make his super lightweight debut against Campa on August 13th, and most likely to take place in South Florida.
So yeah, guys, like we've said before, we mentioned this fight last episode that it was being rumored that Lopez would take on Campa. We just didn't know a date yet. We at the time it was said that it was gonna be in August, just that there wasn't a date yet. Um, Still not official. We haven't seen Top Rank come out with anything yet, or ESPN come out with anything official, but they are saying August 13th. Um, Teofimo Lopez talking shit that supposedly he wanted Josh Taylor, that Josh Taylor didn't want him, that supposedly he wanted Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez didn't want the fight. So he was saying I'm in the wrong generation. Nobody wants to fight. Who knows how true that is? But hey, he has to settle for Pedro Campa. And I think you showed me today, Juan, that him and Jack Catterall not going back and forth. They were just more so Jack Catterall's like, hey, well, you said these guys are ducking you. Let's how about you and me fight? He's all like,
Hmm.
Teofimo Lopez just simply put, I'm down. And Catterall's like, all right, my team will reach out to yours. And supposedly they want to make that fight happen. Obviously, it won't be right now because obviously I think Lopez has to take care of Campa, uh, but then again, you never know, man. In boxing, what if Catterall and Lopez come to a better deal, and Lopez just decides to scratch this fight, and they set a new date for Catterall versus Lopez? But you never know, man. We'll see. As of right now, just focus on Lopez coming back. I think Pedro Campa, although not a big name, uh, and guys, don't get upset, but I think this is a good fight. Even though we do want to see him with big names, I think this is a good fight for him to come back to. One, because he's going into a new division. Two, he's coming off a loss that it seems affected him tremendously. Um, and lastly, on paper, Pedro Campo looks good. So to the common fan, they're going to be like, oh, yeah, Teofimo Lopez, great again. But after this fight, once he gets his feet wet at 140, for sure, Lopez take on a top name at 140. then again, depends how he looks. What do you think, Juan?
Yeah, I think that's great. Like you mentioned, cat Jack Catterall was mentioning to him on Twitter that supposedly he would be down for a fight, and that's a great fight, dude. So if that
Yeah,
does happen, like you
especially because
said, maybe we could.
we all know Catterall beat Taylor, dude.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
really,
So it
the
would be
undisputed champ
basically
at
a.
140 should be Catterall.
Yep, exactly.
So we'll see. But more updates on news, and this is another fight that we mentioned, guys. But this one finally has a date, and it has a location, and it has a weight division that they're gonna fight in. Because when we first mentioned it, we didn't know the date, we didn't know the location, and we didn't know what weight division they were gonna fight at. But that fight being Richard Comey versus Jose Pedraza, now being rumored to take place on July 23rd in Minnesota. So if it's in Minnesota lately, it's most likely going to take place at the Armory in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and it's going to take place at 140 pounds. Because remember, Juan, we didn't know if Pedraza was going to go down to 135 or if Comey was going to go up. But it looks like Comey is going to go up in weight, and they're gonna duke it out at 140. Which this is a good fight for both guys, Juan. Both guys have fought the elite fighters. They just cannot get that win against elite fighters. So I think it's one of those fights where it's a crossing roads fight. Is that what they say? Crossroads fight, where if the winner moves on to potentially still contend for a title, and the loser should probably just call it quits. Because, like I said, both have about 3 to 4 plus losses. Have beat some good guys, but they just can't beat the elite guys. So if you can't beat the elite guys, and then you can't beat uh, a fellow guy that's in the same kind of area as you, then maybe you shouldn't continue. But what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, like you mentioned, I have to agree with you. But Richard Comey going up in weight, it's like he's towards the end of his career. I can see why he went up to 140. He can't be making weight to 135 anymore. Um, but it just there's really nothing else I can say. I have to agree with you all the way. And if whoever loses, it's like, yeah, just retire, dude. And it applies to our next set of news as well. I think I have to say that for the same thing for the next set of news, and I'm gonna mention it already. It's
Yeah.
Adrian Broner is being rumored to fight Omar Figueroa Jr. on July 23rd in Chicago. So it applies with the same thing for them. Those guys have
Yeah.
fought the pretty elite fighters, and it's never seemed to win any of those fights either. So it's like
So
you're
for
coming
those of
back to
you
fight
guys
each
that
other.
are
Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So for those of you guys that are Adrian Broner fans, Adrian Broner um, is being rumored to fight Brandon Figueroa's older brother, Omar Figueroa, on July 23rd in Chicago, like Juan said. And this news actually came from Juan. He said Broner posted it on his OnlyFans. So Juan, texted me.
I
Juan
cannot.
texted me and told me, "Hey, Broner." I was like, "How'd you find out? What's your source?" He said it was OnlyFans. I'm like, "Damn, how much did you pay for Broner's subscription?" I think you said what it was like 50 a month, no Juan?
You're
Something
so
like that.
dumb. I was like, what from me? I was like, you
Uh,
got a mistake in there,
nah.
sir. It's with Ricky.
Oh, come on, man. Ricky's not even here to defend himself, dude. But I know Ricky's gonna hear this episode. But yeah, man. Broner coming back supposedly July 23rd. Hey, it looks like a lot of fights July 23rd. You have Broner, if that's true, coming back that day. Richard Comey and Pedraza, and then you also still have Usyk versus Joshua supposedly on that day. But now they're kind of saying maybe it might happen in August, but we'll see. July 23rd has been the date. Looks like a popular date in boxing. It's going to be one of those days where we're going to preview a lot of fights. But in the last news uh, of our boxing news for this week. Uh, Maybe not the biggest of names, but still, for those boxing diehard fans, they know these are two good fighters. This one is official, guys. This one they announced official. This is Kazuto Ioka, the Japanese fighter, will be defending his title in a rematch against Filipino fighter Donnie Nietes on July 13th in Tokyo, Japan. Uh, Ioka is the champion, but let's not forget they had a fight for the first time a couple years ago, and Nietes actually defeated Ioka via split decision in the first fight. So an exciting fight. We'll see what happens. What do you think, Juan?
This is a good fight, but I still think Kasuto Yoka will take the victory over Dani Nietes, and the Japanese will overcome this one.
Especially because Dani Nietes, he didn't look all that good in his last fight against Norberto Jimenez.
Yeah.
And to be honest, a lot of us thought Jimenez won, but they gave it a draw. Um, but Nietes moves on. That dude Nietes has like 6 draws, I think. Juan, he has a bunch of draws. So we'll see when the time comes. That's coming up next month. We'll be previewing that fight for sure because it's in Tokyo, Japan, and it's July 13th. That's looking like it's going to be a Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't know what it is with Australia and Japan always doing their fights on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And actually, one of the fights we're previewing is going to happen this coming Tuesday, guys. And also, why? Because it's happening in Japan. So, leading to that, guys, that's been our news for the boxing week. We hope we gave you some things to look forward to. We gave you some updates on some fights with some dates, locations, some fighters that are going to be returning into new divisions. Uh, but now going into our fight previews, fights that are actually going to happen during this coming week. And we have to preview this fight first because it's coming already this Tuesday, 2 days from now. And that fight, and I think this is probably the highlight fight of the week one. That's going to be the rematch between Naoya Inoue and Nonito Donaire. They're putting it all on the line they're fighting it out for the IBF, WBA Super, and WBC World Bantamweight title unification fight. This is for 118 pounds, 3 of the belts. It's going to take place at the Super Arena in Saitama, Japan. This is the same arena where Triple G and Murata fought. It is going to take place on June 7th in 2020. Well, obviously 2022, June 7th, guys, on ESPN Plus. And for us here in California, it's at 2:30 a.m. So Juan, I know you're a night owl. You'll probably be up to watch it. The main fight will probably be what, like 5 a.m. You
Five.
think,
Yeah,
for our
like
time here in
5 a.m.
California?
Yeah, I would
So
say five.
if you guys are willing to stay up that early to watch this fight, once again Tuesday at 2:30 a.m. is when the card starts. By the time Inoue and Donaire probably fight, it'll probably be 5 a.m. here in California. So that means if you're on the East Coast, that's approximately 8 a.m. that this will be occurring. Um, but you got Naoya the Monster Inoue, who's the IBF and WBA Super World Bantamweight Unified Champion. He's got a record of 22 and 0, 19 KOs. He's orthodox. He's 5'5", age 29. He's from Yokohama, Kanagawa, Japan, and he was born in Zama, Kanagawa, Japan. His last fight was against Aran Dipayan, which he won by 8th round TKO back in December of 2021. So he's coming for his first fight in 2022, guys, coming off a 6-month layoff. He's faced a lot of notable fighters, guys. So for fighting only 22 fights, he's fought the best of the best in his weight classes. That's why he's considered arguably one of the top 10 pound for pound fighters on a lot of people's lists. And then his opponent is Nonito, the Filipino Flash Donaire, who is the WBC World Bantamweight Champion. His record is 42 victories, 6 defeats, with 28 knockouts. He's also orthodox. He has the height advantage on Inoue by being 5'7", already 39 years old. He's from Taliban, Bohol, Philippines, but he currently lives in Las Vegas, Nevada. His last fight was against Raymart Gaballo, which he won by 4th round KO back in December of 2021 as well. So he's also coming back from a 6-month layoff. I mean, what's more to say about Donaire? This guy is a legend. He's a living legend in the boxing world. Another great Filipino fighter. Not quite a Pacquiao, obviously. He's a legendary fighter as well, but Nonito Donaire, I think, is a close second to Pacquiao. I mean, just look at his resume, Juan. He's fought just about everybody the best of the best in his time. Um, and like we said, this is a rematch. The first fight, Inoue did win, and I think to date, Juan, Donaire has given Inoue the toughest fight in Inoue's career. Um, but what are your predictions for this fight? What are you most looking forward to? Who do you think wins and why?
I think I'm gonna go with the monster Inoue. I think he takes this one. Um, it's just, to me, it's more so how Inoue is the top guy as of right now. He's shown to be the top 10 in pound for pound lists. And his
Yeah,
resume will speak for it himself as well. Even though Nonito Donaire also has a good resume, but he's more towards the end of his career, man. He's 39.
I mean these guys
I
are
think
10. These guys are 10 years apart, man.
yeah,
39 versus 29.
and to me, I think this is the passing of the torch. I think Donaire is gonna do just that. Give it up to the monster anyway, and Inoue will come out victorious.
Tell me why I was literally thinking the same thing, a passing of the torch fight. But here's the thing, Juan. We've said the same shit about Donaire's last two fights. We've said the same
Yeah,
fucking thing, and he's fucking surprised us both fights and by knockouts against young, good contenders. He beat, or actually, no, when he took the WB strap, he took it from Nordine Ouabali, the Frenchman. We all thought Ouabali was going to win. Donaire surprised us with fourth round knockout. Then here comes his fellow Filipino fighter, younger, 25 years old, young kid. We're like, oh, Filipino on Filipino. This is a passing of the torch fight. Boom, knocks him out in the fourth round again. We're saying now this one is a passing of the torch fight. Yeah, Inoue beat him the first time, but this time is just different, man. Donaire's been on a roll. We'll see, man. I'm still gonna go Inoue, but again, Juan, Donaire has given Inoue the toughest fight of his career to date. So I don't know. That could be in Inoue's head, man. That could be in Inoue's head, knowing that this has been his toughest fight. We'll see. I did talk to Rick earlier. He's also going Inoue. He likes Donaire a lot, but he said he's going to go Inoue as well. So looks like we're all going Inoue. And in 2 more days, Juan, I'll be texting you at 2:30 a.m. to see if you're up to watch the fight, man.
I probably
No,
won't. I
but
have to
moving
work
on
that
to
day.
our yeah. But yeah, Juan, going on to our next fight. This one's gonna happen on Friday. Let us know about this next one.
Sure, you would give me the hardest name out here, huh?
It's not even hard,
Just
man.
uh, Hiroto, is that right? Hiroto
Hiroto
Kaiguchi.
Kyoguchi, yeah.
Hiroto, where's the K
Hiroto
in that?
Kyoguchi.
Yeah, I said Hiroto. Oh, Hiroto. Okay. Hirota Kayaguchi versus Esteban Bermudez will be taking place in Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico, and this is going to be a WBA Super World Light Flyweight 108 pounds title fight. Um, and it will be held on June 10th on the zone at 4:50 p.m. So it's going to be an early start. I think this is one of the earlier fights that starts out there, but it's mostly because of the time change out there. They're always 2 hours ahead.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
so Hiroto
Guadalajara is 2 hours from us.
yeah. So Hiroto Kaiguchi is a WBA Super World Light Flyweight Champion, 15-0 with 10 KOs. Orthodox fighter. He's 5'4" at the age of 28. He's from Tokyo, Japan. His last fight was against Axel Vega, where he took a W by fifth round TKO. And back in March 2021, with a 15-month layoff now, guys. He's had only two notable fighters. So really in reality it's this is going to be a 50-50 fight, even though the record for Esteban Bermudez won't say that itself because he's a 14-3 and 2 with 10 KOs, but he is the WBA World Light Flyweight Champion. He's an orthodox fighter. He's a 5'7", age 26. And damn, my home country with these weird ass names, I always tell my parents, it's like, who the fuck comes up with these names, bro? Uh, but I ain't gonna say that shit. But the fighting in
I
Mexico, he's
think
from
it's
Mexico.
I think it's I think it's from Net. I think it's pronounced Nezahualcóyotl, Mexico. I'm not sure. Uh, Please forgive me if I butchered that, but I gave it an attempt. But yeah, he's from Mexico.
Yeah, he's from Mexico. Just
Esteban
say
Bermudez.
that.
Yeah.
But his last fight was against Carlos Canizales, where he took a W by 6 round TKO May 2021, with also a 13-month layoff. Well, 2-month difference with each other, but they've had long layoffs, both of them. And as well, his resume doesn't speak as much for himself. He's only had one notable fighter, and now his opponent will be his next notable fight.
Oh, then
But his let's see, Kike, who are you going for, and what do you expect the outcome to be?
you pick first one. I'm the host, so you pick first. I'm the host of today's
All
episode, so I want to see what you say. How about
right.
look? I'll give you Ricky's pick. Ricky said, yeah, he said the same thing, 50-50 fight. You got the WBA Super Champion and the WBA Regular Champion, guys. And what the WBA is trying to do now, remember, they're trying to get rid of titles. So if they got a Super Champion and a Regular Champion, they want to get rid of titles. So both champions will face each other to have one Super Champion. As of right now, the main champion is Kyoguchi because he's the Super Champion. Bermudez technically, if there wasn't the title of champion in it, he's the number one contender. So Esteban Bermudez fighting in his home country in Mexico, Kyoguchi having to come from Japan to Mexico to fight Bermudez. Ricky said he's going Bermudez on this one. What about you, Juan?
And I have to agree with him, just because I didn't know who Bermudez really was, so I had to do a little bit of digging. I've seen the Japanese fight once, I think, but I get he's undefeated. But also, like we mentioned before in the other episode, no one makes a fight at one's home country just for the fuck of it. It's always, who's in the win, and it's oh yeah, we're taking it over there because we know who the champ is. But I'm saying Stan Bermudez with the KO in like the fourth round.
And I'm gonna have to go with the Japanese fighter Hiroto Kyoguchi. They're both coming off over 1 year layoffs. Uh, it is still a 50-50 fight, even though Bermudez's record says otherwise. Guys, in these lightweight classes, these guys are going to have more losses than usual because these guys actually face top guys all the time. Bermudez had most of his losses earlier in his career, so he's a champion for a reason now. He's been on a winning streak. Kyoguchi obviously hasn't been defeated. This is going to be a good fight. Yeah, it's in Bermudez's backyard, but I don't know, man. I think Kyoguchi has more pop than Bermudez does. I mean, they both have the same amount of knockouts, 10, but Kyoguchi has done it in 15 fights. It's taken uh, Bermudez 19 fights, so almost half of his fights he ends up in knockout, and Kyoguchi in about 2/3 of his fights he ends up in knockout. So I'm gonna have to go Kyoguchi. Um, I think he's the only 108-pound fighter that is worthy to be in my top like 100 fighters list. So uh, it sucks because we don't really talk about those low weight classes. I think this is the first time ever, actually, Juan, on Boxing Talk that we actually cover 108-pound fight because it's just these smaller guys. They don't really get knockouts much. They don't really. There's not much competition out there. That's why. There's not much competition out there for them to build a big name. But we'll see. You and Ricky got Bermudez. I got Kyoguchi. We'll see on that one. You can either gain on me this week, Juan, or or I can gain on you. We'll see. But the last fight, I'm sure you guys know this name. Uh, Jaime Munguia versus Jimmy Kelly. This is the Saturday night fight, guys. Jaime Munguia is going to be making his debut at 168 pounds. So it is a super middleweight fight. It's going to be taking place here in California at the Honda Center in Anaheim. It's where the Anaheim Ducks play. It's right across the street from Angel Stadium. It's taking place June 11th on the zone as well at 5 p.m. You got Jaime Munguia, who's ranked number one in the WBO, number two in the WBA, number two in the WBC, and number eight in the IBF in the middleweight division, Obviously, he's not ranked at 168 because he's never fought there, but he is 39-0 with 31 KOs. He's orthodox. He's 6 foot, only 25 years old, from Tijuana, Baja California, Mexico. His last fight is against Demetrius Ballard, which he won by third round TKO back in February of this year. So he's coming back from a 4 month layoff, which Juan, nowadays, that's a quick turnaround for big fighters nowadays. Like we've discussed in the past, sometimes 6+ months is about the norm, but 4 months is quick nowadays. And then his opponent will be Jimmy Kilrain Kelly, who's ranked number 8 by the WBO. He is the WBA Global Middleweight Champion, which is a whatever belt. That's why he's still ranked number 8 in the WBO. He's 26-2 with 10 knockouts. He's an orthodox as well. He's also 6 foot, just like Munguia, and he's 29 years old. He's from Withenshaw, Lancashire, United Kingdom. He was born in Manchester, United Kingdom. His last fight was against Kanat Islam, which he won by majority draw back in February of this year as well. So he's also coming off the same amount layoff as Munguia. He's fought guys like Liam Smith as well, just like Munguia did, except Munguia defeated Liam Smith, and uh, obviously Kelly lost to Liam Smith by knockout. But who's your pick, Juan, and how do you think it ends?
I think this is another easy fight for Jaime Munguia. Um,
Cherry pick?
yeah, man, it's Jaime Munguia all the way. I'm going for him, and he's gonna
Yeah,
stop him early, man. Like second round.
yeah. I'm going Munguia as well, and of course I'm looking forward to Munguia fighting, but I'm tired of him fighting these fucking guys, man. I mean, I get it. He's moving up to a new weight division. He's got to test out the weight division. But Munguia, please, after this fight, after you take care of this guy, please fight a top name either at 160 or 168. Um, yeah, I'm going Munguia all the way by knockout. Ricky's also going Munguia. Uh, so it looks like we're all going Munguia this fight. So, hey guys, we got a fight on Tuesday, we got a fight on Friday, and we got a fight on Saturday. So those are our three uh, major fights. I think the main fight is Inoue Donaire too. Um, but excited to see Munguia, and we'll see what happens out of the 108 pounders that we preview. That's the first time we see 108 pounders here at Boxing Talk, and it's gonna be funny seeing those little guys duke it out on DAZN because DAZN rarely covers those small weight divisions as well, Juan. So
Well,
we'll
I mean,
see. And then
one of them is not so little because I'm pretty tall myself, so 5'7" is pretty big.
actually, yeah, 5'7" for the 108 class is pretty big. So
Yeah,
the other one's what, 5'5".
5'4",
So
dude.
uh, 5'4". Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see how it goes. Looks like everything's set out for the Mexicano to win on that one, but we'll see. Um, but speaking on our predictions and why we do that, guys, we do it to keep track of uh, when we pick someone to see if we're right, if we're incorrect, or if we're right. So far, we've previewed 52 fights to date, and we'll give you that leaderboard. Ricky, out of the 52 fights, has predicted 34 winners and 18 losers. And then Juan and I are tied. We've predicted 39 winners and 13 losers. So Juan and I with the 39-13 record, Ricky with the 34-18 record. Ricky did take an L this weekend when he chose. Who did he choose to win? It was what fight was that he picked?
I can't
I don't
remember.
even remember
Oh,
right
it
now.
was the I
Oh,
think it was the
Ogawa versus
Kenichi
Cordina. He was
Ogawa.
going
Yeah.
Ogawa. Yeah, yeah. All the other fights we chose the same. This weekend, we all are choosing Inoue for this one. We're all choosing Munguia for this fight. The only one we're disagreeing on is the Bermudez and the Kyoguchi fight. Juan and Ricky are going Bermudez, and I'm going Kyoguchi. So we'll see. Also, I wanted to update Edito, one of our fans. Um, He also started choosing with us. We officially started keeping record for him. He went 2-1 this weekend. He picked correctly on the Cordina Ogawa fight. He picked correctly on the Fulton Roman fight. But on the Haney Cambosis, he was going Cambosis, and Cambosis lost. So Edito, you're officially 2-1, man. But good job. He's been doing pretty good, and I'm actually asking for his picks on this weekend, Juan. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, guys, that's it for this episode. Um, Episode 67 already, Juan. A lot of episodes. If you're still tuned in to the end of this episode, I always forget to say it in the beginning, Juan, but follow us on Instagram at Boxing Talk Podcast, on Twitter at Boxing Talk Pod. Um, Anything else you got to say, Juan?
And now just thank you guys, and don't forget to also check us out on YouTube at Boxing Talk Podcast or Boxing Talk, whichever should come up.
Yep. But all right, guys, have a good one, and then tune in next week for episode 68. Have a good one. Bye.
Peace.